Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Chloe. I'm a student at Pittsburgh State University, and today I'm going to be giving you a tutorial on how to use the Cambo SC2 4x5 view camera with a Fuji adapter. Okay, so the name of this camera is quite a mouthful. Let's talk about what it actually is and why we might actually want to use it. So the Cambo camera is a film camera, but we've added on this Fuji adapter so that we can actually shoot digital with it. Now, why would we want to do that? Well, this Cambo camera has several knobs that allow us to change the plane of focus. So for example, normally when you think about planes of focus, they are stacked in front of one another and you have to choose which one you'd like to focus on. But with this camera, you can actually move diagonally across planes of focus. So thinking about this, for example, on a face, if you wanted to, you could have your camera focused on the nose and the eyeball, so it's a plane of sharp focus here, and then the rest of the face blurs out. That's what makes this camera so unique, and it has a multitude of different ways that we could use it. All right, now that you know what it's used for, let's go over how we set it up. Before we start shooting, let's make sure that our settings on the Fuji camera are correct and ready to go. The first thing to note is that the shutter speed adjustment dial on the top of your camera should be left in T so that we can continue to adjust the shutter speed. And then on the other side, the focus adjustment knob should be left in M for manual. Okay, so first let's talk about how to hold it because this thing is huge, it's chunky, it's awkward, and it's really heavy. So my favorite way to hold it is just like you're seeing me do now, almost like a toddler on your hip. I have my arm underneath the side brackets here, I'm holding onto the end, and then the weight can just rest in my forearm and on my shoulder. If you're traveling with it, you can turn it upside down, and if you need to set it down, upside down is the way to go. But for putting it on the tripod, I recommend the baby hold. It's definitely the most secure. You're just gonna place it on like a normal camera, line it up, snap it in, and do not let go until you're sure that it's snapped in all the way. All right, next step, we're gonna attach our Fuji GFX 50R camera. Take off the lens, line it up red dot to red dot. Twist it till you hear it click. And then we'll take off our lens cap and we're ready to start shooting. We're zoomed way in here so that I can point out a few key features that I want you to notice. The first one being the aperture diaphragm blade lever. It's this lever right here, and you'll see that it opens and closes your aperture blades. If you can't see anything through your lens, this could be why. They could be closed. The next thing that I want to note is the aperture adjustment dial. It's this little tiny red dial right up here, and you'll see that it manually closes and opens your aperture. So if you're wanting to adjust that setting, you're gonna do it here instead of in camera. The next thing that I want to talk about are all of the adjustment knobs that we have. So you can see we have a lot of them, but it's what makes this camera so unique. So we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. The very first one that I would like to mention is this on the bottom here. You can see we have it on both sides, but I typically just adjust this one because the camera is so weighted that if you use this one and push it back, it can almost tip your tripod over. So we just adjust this back one here, and you can see it moves the camera forwards and backwards. So think of this as the equivalent to when you're adjusting a normal lens and you're turning the knob to bring in the focus. That's what this one does. The next one, moving up, you can see we have one here. It's on a swivel, so I'm gonna loosen it up, and you'll see I can turn my camera from side to side. One thing to note is that when you want your camera to be back at 0 or neutral, you'll feel it kind of click into place, and that happens with all of the levers on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this one back up. Next one is right here. It's in between these two little brackets right here. So I'm just gonna loosen it. This one's a little stiff. Okay, so now that I have that one loosened, I'm gonna show you how this one can push side to side. Like I said, this one's probably the most stiff. but this one allows you to move your camera back and forth on this plane. Ah! All right, let's bring it back to center. Tighten her back up. And if you do what I just did and loosen it too much, not to worry, you can just tighten it back up. It'll screw right back in. Okay, moving upwards, we have this one here. Now, what you'll notice is there's actually one here and one that's level to it on the other side. In order to make the adjustment, you'll need to loosen both of them. And they do loosen in different directions. I'm not sure why. It's a little annoying, but you'll get the hang of it. So these allow us to move our camera upwards and downwards. So you can see I can push it up, I can bring it back down, and you'll hear a click when it gets back to a level position. There it is. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this again. And our last one that we have is this knob right here. And this knob moves your camera this way and this way, which I'll show you, but do note, be careful, because this one, when you loosen it, the weight of your camera can pull it straight down. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen it, making sure I've got a hold of it. And you'll see, you can move your camera down, you can bring it back up, and then back to the center. So there are knobs on every side. Tighten that back up. So you'll notice that there are adjustment knobs on this side of the camera and this side of the camera. This gives us the ability to make some really creative adjustments in the plane of focus, and it's what makes this camera so unique. Okay guys, now that you know everything about this camera, what it is, how to use it, let's do a demo so you can see it in action. Today we have a very lovely model, Patricia. Let's get shooting. So I'm gonna go ahead and set our model on the table I have in front of us. I have a light set up. It's nothing fancy, it's just to show you the basis of how to use this camera. I have a trigger here to attach to our camera. I'm gonna go ahead and attach it. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and start making adjustments. Patricia is on a table down a little bit lower, and I want her face to be in focus and the rest of her body to be out of focus. So let's go ahead and make some adjustments. I'm just gonna be talking you through my process. It's a lot of trial and error, and we'll see how we get there. First things first, I know I want the angle of my camera to be downwards. So I'm gonna go ahead and adjust that. Push it up, go ahead and tighten that knob. I'm gonna loosen these knobs here and bring it down. Go ahead and tighten those again. I'm gonna turn my camera on so I can really see what I'm doing here. Next, let's go ahead and bring this in. All right. So I think we need to adjust this knob downwards. Oh yeah, there we go. There she is. Now, a couple things that I would like you to note is that this camera, because it has all of these paper ridges in here, you just have to be careful. Sometimes with all of the knobs and stuff that we have going on, things can get pinched. So if it seems like it's not moving, it's probably not, and you need to be careful. All right, let's get her in focus. Now, right now, I can see pretty much all of Patricia, so I'm going to bring this knob upwards, I think. Let's go ahead and do a test shot and see where we are at. Test shot. So we're getting close, but not quite there. This one's still a little bit blurry and out of focus. Let's keep working. Oh, here we go, here we go. Right now, I have Patricia's face really in focus, which I like, but the rest of her body isn't quite as blurry as I want it to be, so I'm gonna keep making adjustments and see what I can do. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this knob back to a level position, and then I'm gonna bring this one all the way up to the top. Much better. Bring it in closer. Ah, Awesome. Okay, this is exactly what I was going for. So I'm going to insert this picture bigger on your screen so you can see what I'm talking about. But I really have Patricia's face very crisp and in focus, and then the rest of her body, even though it should be on a very similar plane of focus because it's at an aperture of f8, you can see it's all blurred out. That's the beauty of this camera. That's the amazing things that it can do. So now that I got the shot that I want, I'm gonna go ahead and bring the camera all the way back down, click, to its neutral spot. It should be stored in a neutral position. Nothing's gonna hurt it if it doesn't get stored in the same, it doesn't get stored at 0. But it's just good practice for whoever the next person is that's coming in to shoot with it. Oh. And one good example is right now you'll see I actually can't adjust this tilt because the knob in the center is in the way. So it's just one of those things that this camera can get in the way of itself. So we got that back up, bring it back to 0. And let's go ahead and open this up a little bit so we can carry it later. Okay guys, that's all I have for you on this tutorial today. I hope that you enjoyed it and that one day you'll get to use this camera and create some really unique images. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.